welcome back to another shared news from home. We are live today to talk all things Bachelor Nation. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms and Gianna Gravalisi. You guys, happy Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. There's been so much Bachelor news. How is everybody doing? Avery, how are you?
Great. I always say this, but nothing that new over here. Just excited to talk Bachelor, of course. What about you, Gianna?
Same here, nothing really new. Boston's warm, that's all I really care about. And The Bachelorette is on, so I'm content.
Well, I'm glad to see that everyone is having a good week. Even if it's same old, we're halfway there, you guys. It's Wednesday. We are almost to the weekend, sort of. There, of course, has been so much Bachelor craziness this week. We're going to kick things off with the fact that Hannah Brown was just on the celebrity dating game, and oh my God, the confusion this has caused. Since the moment it was announced that she was going to be on the show, it sparked conversation and, like I said, confusion about her relationship status because, of course, when it was announced, right, that she would be a contestant on the show, as far as fans knew, she was in a happy, committed relationship with her boyfriend, Adam Woolard. Her appearance made people think that, oh, okay, maybe they're breaking up and she's going on this show to find love. They are, of course, still happily together and have been. They obviously shot this show long before all of this, kind of played out behind the scenes. But the episode airing sort of reignited that confusion. Some fans were even going so far as to say, maybe ABC should have just scrapped this episode because Hannah is in a happy, committed relationship, and we all know that, right? I'm curious your take on this because while I understand they shot this as the pilot episode, right? You guys, like, they had to air this. It's kind of a bummer that a new dating show where we're all supposed to think celebrities can go and find love kicked things off with someone who Bachelor Nation obviously knew was not going to find love on that stage. I mean, what is your take on this, Avery?
I think it's very anticlimactic, and it definitely did lead to a lot of confusion. I know when we first heard she was going to be on the show, we were questioning, oh, did she meet her boyfriend on the show? And now we know that isn't the case, and they've been very public about the relationship. So if you know Hannah Brown and you're watching the show, we already know all the answers. So at the end of the day, yeah, maybe they should have just scrapped it because the point is to find a couple at the end of it, come out as a couple, and that obviously didn't happen, but I was excited to see her again on reality TV.
Yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable for Hannah fans, just to see her having fun up on that stage. Gianna, did you think that this was enjoyable to see Hannah, even though we knew she wasn't going to find love? How did you feel about it?
I mean, the show itself, to me, in my opinion, was super cringe. They had Hannah in the chair. They had this random guy singing, that he made up a song for her about, Jed and the windmill and, all this stuff. That was the only entertaining part. But the whole show, I was, on my phone half the time because I was bored. It was, Hannah asking three guys these questions. The guys were also random, whether they were models or just, into crypto or something, and they were all answering the questions, but they were all also awkward. I think I recall Hannah asking one of the men, what's a date we could do? And he said, do arts and crafts. And all the men were like, what is this guy saying? Even Hannah was like, what's going on? But yeah, I do think it sparked a lot of confusion. And I don't think the show itself was worth all of the confusion. It was funny, but in the cringiest way possible. So I don't know if it's going to be a thing for long. I hope it's not, honestly. We have so many better shows out there. And the fact that they kicked it off with Hannah is just irony in and of itself. And I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I love that take. Honestly, it's going to be interesting because this is a show, right? They've brought it back. They're trying to revive it, but we don't know what the future of celebrity dating game is going to look like. So Only time will tell, I guess, you guys. If you're tuning in live with us, we want to hear from you. Let us know in the chat. Were you cringing during this Hannah Brown segment? Did it confuse you about her relationship status, her going on this show? Let us know. And throughout the entire live, if you have any questions, any comments, make sure you send them to us in there, because at the end, we're going to try to get to some of your comments, your questions, so we can all chat together. Also, with that being said, if you are joining us live for the very first time, or you're just not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you do. Make sure you ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future lives, any future Bachelor Nation updates. We cover it all here on Shared News 24/7, because there's always a lot to talk about. And with that, we actually do have some more Hannah Brown news today. Tyler Cameron is going to be releasing a new book next month, and in it, he's going to be discussing his time in Bachelor Nation, obviously. Hannah, I mean, of course, is a major part of his story, and he revealed to Us Weekly that he ran everything he'd be saying about her in the new book by her ahead of time. We actually have a clip of him talking about this process, you know, the conversations they had, how he kind of consulted her before sharing anything about her. So when we have this clip ready, we're going to go ahead and check it out. Let's see.
Yeah, we both talked through, like, you know, what's going on in the book, and there's nothing for her to be worried about or concerned. I have no bad things to say about her, so why, you know?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good in there.
Are you still friends?
She taught me a lot.
She taught you a lot. Are you still on friendly? Like, do you still see her a lot, or I mean?
I haven't seen her in a while, but we're still friends. We're still cool.
So, I mean, here's the thing. Not everyone runs everything by someone they're going to be writing about in a book, right? I mean, there are so many different ways this could play out. Obviously, we see them hanging out less now than they did in their quarantine crew days, but I feel like from all the ups and downs of this relationship, they're still close, and it's still a friendship that means something to both of them. Gianna, what are your thoughts on him writing this book, consulting Hannah, you know, kind of getting her blessing?
You know, it's so interesting because we always see contestants on both The Bachelor and The Bachelorette come out as either, you know, a new influencer, or they started a podcast, and now he's taking the initiative of writing a book, which I think that it's going to be so popular. You know, he was a huge name. Obviously, we know what happened between him and Hannah, and I think it's going to give us a lot of insight. I truly believe just how their relationship is. I think that they both cared so much about each other because there was never really an ending that had ill will. There was never like a really bad ending on a bad note, other than the initial breakup, of course. But we've seen them hang out. You know, they spent the quarantine together. So I think that they truly are friends. We even saw them recently hanging out, and they were in each other's Insta stories. Like, they've gone live together. So I think, and you know, Tyler as a person, he does have respect for women. That's what he's known as. That's why we all love him. So I truly think that whatever he did right about Hannah is definitely going to have had her permission. And I don't think he's going to write anything bad. He'll probably write the truth. And I think he's truly going to write how it made him feel. And he kind of reminds me of Nick Viall in a way, because Nick went on and now he's kind of like a relationship coach. Like, he went from, you know, being on the franchise 4 times and not finding love to now giving such sound relationship advice. And I think that Tyler Cameron's book is going to be exactly like that, just from his one experience with Hannah. And I think that he's going to actually have a lot of great insight. And I'm sure that she definitely gave him permission. So I'm all for it, and I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Avery, so many fans, I think literally to this day, have hopes that those two will somehow end up together. I'm thinking like way back in time, there was, of course, that moment where it really did seem like they were going to give it a shot. We saw those paparazzi photos of him, I think it was leaving her place or her leaving his, but then he dove into dating Gigi Hadid. And so I'm really curious what part of their relationship he may or may not explore in this book. How deep do you think he's going to dive? Are we going to learn anything new in this book, or is it going to be more of just like an explanation on some of the things we've already seen them discuss? Because, you know, they've made YouTube videos together. They have put a lot of their relationship out there. I mean, what do you think?
I think we'll learn a lot of new details given that it's a book, so that makes room for so much more insight. And Tyler and Hannah specifically, they're so rare because they were a couple and then they broke up and ended up living together. And I feel like in those moments, they were able to just start this really stable friendship and like close solid bond where they were able to learn more about themselves and each other. So I think we're going to hear a lot more of that in the book. And regardless what happened with Gigi, I know we saw the pictures. He was leaving Hannah Brown's house to go hang out with Gigi, I guess. But I truly believe that they are just such good friends because we even see them continue to support each other in the media. I know Tyler wished Hannah the best when she got into her relationship, and I'm sure she did the same for him as well. So I don't know. I feel like I loved them as a couple, and I equally love them as friends, just the way they continue to respect and support each other.
Yeah, I actually think I feel the exact same way. Like, I did like them together, but I also really like this friendship, and I think that it is totally solid and maybe just where their journey was meant to lead them, right? Obviously, this book is going to cover a lot of ground. It's not just a book about Hannah Brown. And he did share in this interview some insights as to what inspired him to write this book. He shared that after his time on The Bachelorette, he was, of course, getting a lot of praise from members of Bachelor Nation for his behavior on the show. You know, the way he stood up for Hannah, what we saw of him obviously really impressed us. And he said, quote, "There's articles written about me. Tyler Cameron gives masterclass on consent and calling me a feminist icon and all this stuff." And I'm like, all I did was respect a woman. He continued saying, no is no, you know, and if she wants to go do something, she should go and do it. He explained that, of course, you know, he was getting a lot of praise from the media. It was totally cool at first. But he quickly kind of changed his mind on how he felt about all these headlines, explaining, "Then I realized there's something wrong with our culture right now. If this is what's being praised, this should be the norm." That's kind of what really motivated me to write this book and kind of the core of this book. So obviously he's going to share some of what we, you know, may or may not already know about his relationship with Hannah, but this quote was really interesting to me because I'm really curious what him, you know, diving into this subject matter is going to look like. He clearly has a strong point of view on it, and I think it's going to end up being really interesting. What are your thoughts on this, Avery?
I think he's an absolute king for dabbling into this topic because this is something, especially in this day and age, I think it's a huge issue. Men respect women and they get so much praise for it when at the end of the day, that's pretty much doing the bare minimum. And I think it's awesome that he was able to see this like through his experiences and through his relationships. And now he's talking about it through his book because it's also way more valuable coming from a man if a man's reading this because it is such a problem. You know, guys get away with so much nowadays. They do the bare minimum and we're like, oh my gosh, he's so sweet and nice, when it's like, no, that should be expected. So I'm glad he's going to start talking about things like this in his book.
Yeah, do you agree, Gianna?
Absolutely. I mean, I hope that he has as much influence on young men as I hope that he does, because if they do read this book and they listen to what he's saying, I hope that it'll help them kind of shape up a little bit, because as you mentioned, Avery, our society is just used to men not treating women as they should. It's like the whole notion of why women say, oh, men are trash. It's like the way that we get treated. And it's like when a guy gives us maybe flowers or like opens our door, do the things that were accepted way back when in the dating ages, not so much now. It's like we see that as this like amazing gesture, when in reality it's like chivalry should still be a thing and men should respect women, whether it's, you know, doing the things I said or just like literally being nice to them, period. I also think this is a testament to what we were just talking about, the fact that because this is his thoughts and his beliefs, it shows that he's not going to like necessarily bash Hannah or say anything without her permission because of how respectful he is, and he shows it. So I'm just really hoping that a lot of people listen to what he has to say, because I love a guy like this, and I think all men should really take Tyler's actions and use them as a lesson, because he's doing things right.
Yeah, you guys, it's so interesting. Like, I feel like, I mean, let's face it, a lot of celebrities, you know, write books where they work with someone to write a book and then they put their name on. It doesn't always feel like there's a real deep meaning behind it or a true passion. And I honestly, when I first heard he was writing a book, I have to say I was kind of like, really? Do we really need another book? Like, why? Whatever. But I kind of think that this has something to it and it might be a really interesting read. You guys, let us know in the chat if you're sold, if you're going to pick up a copy of his book. It comes out next month, so the wait is almost over. Let us know if you're interested, if this has piqued your interest. We're going to move on because we actually have a very special update on a couple that I know all three of us really enjoy, and that is Zac and Tayshia. Tayshia's dad actually just made an appearance on Mike Johnson and Brian. I always mess up his name, you guys. Abasolo, Rachel Lindsay's guy, Talking It Out podcast. He opened up about Zac and Tayshia's relationship, and what he said, you guys, is so sweet. He described his future son-in-law as humble, genuine, and an all-around good guy, which I think is something a lot of us feel about Zac, but there's something about hearing it from Tayshia's dad that I think makes it really meaningful. He went on to explain, quote, "What you see is what you get, and that's what I really liked." He added that while a lot of guys, come on the show to promote themselves or get famous, Zac was totally genuine. So I love Tayshia's dad kind of diving into, is he there for the right reasons debate. He continued saying, during our first conversation, we had some good heart-to-hearts. Even on our first talks, I was so happy with him. I was really happy with him. I'm so happy, he's talking now, I'm so happy with just how things are progressing. It's nice. He's a great guy. So I don't know if Zac could have hoped for a more glowing review from the father of his fiance. I mean, there is a reason a lot of people were charmed by him on Tayshia's season, but this is kind of crazy. I mean, to hear this insight from her father. Gianna, what are your thoughts on this?
This just makes me so happy because I always thought that their connection was so genuine, but to hear it being verified by Tayshia's dad himself just warms my heart. I mean, thinking about my relationship with my father, I know every guy I've ever dated, he's just been like, oh, I don't like him just because he's a boy and like this and that. And my dad he's very Italian, by the way. He's not a mean guy, but he just never has really anything nice to say. And I feel like, that's a lot of dads. It's like you look at your daughter, no matter what age she is like your little girl. So to hear her dad say all these nice things and like, I was happy with him. I was really happy with him and how things were progressing. It's like him kind of gushing over them too. And I think it's just so cute. I think it's wholesome. And it just makes me happy to know that what they have is real and to know that they are a for real successful couple that came out of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Avery, we've talked about this a lot. We've all been dying for some success stories. And of course, whenever a couple gets engaged on the show, I think there's that like, you hold your breath moment, right? Like you really want to believe in it, but you're not sure. At this point, I feel like, wedding bells are ringing. Like these two are in it for the long haul. I feel like you are on the same page, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We already knew he was humble, genuine, and all around good guy, but obviously it means so much more coming from Tayshia's dad. And, the fact he said what you see is what you get, I just love that because there was a moment where we kind of were scared for a while because we didn't really see much of him, but that kind of backs up the whole what you see is what you get because he's not someone who always needs to be on socials or always needs to be in the media. We just know that they're solid if they show it or not, which I love because, I don't know, I've always had so much faith in them, but this makes me so much more happy hearing her dad say this about him.
I know. And I mean, I just think it's adorable that her dad went on this podcast to begin with. Like, we don't get this side of the conversation a lot. So this has been such a breath of fresh air. I think so refreshing for fans of Tayshia and Zac too, because you're right. They don't plaster their relationship all over socials, and Bachelor Nation as a whole isn't necessarily used to that. So a wonderful little reminder that these two are thriving. You guys, let us know your thoughts on what Tayshia's dad had to say in the chat. And also let us know know if you're still, obsessed with Zac and Tayshia. Was he who you were rooting for during her season? You may be still pulling for Ivan. I don't know. Let us know in the chat. We're going to move on because we've got to talk about Katie's social media activity. She is incredible, in my opinion, on socials. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but she live tweets her episodes of The Bachelorette. She is so funny, which of course we all know, and her most recent social media activity definitely sparked a conversation. She shared a pretty hilarious video, at least in my opinion, and she teased fans saying that it was, quote, leaked footage from the season finale. Now, don't get too excited because it's not actually that, but we do have the video she shared here. We're going to try to play this clip for you guys so you can really appreciate the joke she was making. Here it is.
No. Hey, excuse me. I don't want food. What? What? Sorry.
You guys, I am telling you, this has been my favorite video I have seen in such a long time. Thank God for this, what is it, like Nest doorbell or security camera or something that captured this moment, because it is so unbelievably pure. Now, with all of that being said, I certainly hope that this doesn't end up being what her finale looks like. She said, let me get that caption again, leaked footage from the season finale. So, Gianna, I mean, what are your thoughts? Is Katie gonna send someone off after they get down on a knee like this, or is she purely kidding? I think, probably kidding, but what do you think?
I mean, I think she's definitely kidding. Again, we can't rule out the possibility because imagine we get to the season finale and someone proposes and she really does say no, and we look back at this video being like, that tweet was actually way funnier because it was actually true. But I totally think she's kidding. That would be way too obvious of a hint anyway. But the video itself, I saw this before we played the clip as well, like a couple days ago. It cracked me up. And I saw it not from Katie's tweet. So the fact that she took it and used it as like leaked footage from the season finale is hilarious. And I also just want to say that Katie is doing the most to promote her season. Any opportunity she gets, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or even TikTok, she is coming up with the most creative ways to promote. Like, I really think the franchise, I think the marketing team needs to hire her because she's doing an amazing job. She's uploading hilarious videos, the memes. She is live tweeting every single episode. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a lead do this much to promote their own season yet. I mean, she's amazing. So I just had to praise Katie's marketing skills. But Avery, what about you? What do you think about this video?
Well, I'm the same as you. I first saw this video like without this context, but the fact that she took this video and said all that makes it a million times more funnier. And I just think, she's a jokester and she's joking about this because she can, as in she does get engaged at the end of this. But like you said, even if she doesn't, that still makes this hilarious. But I don't know. I hope it doesn't end this way, but if it does, I'm still going to laugh now because it's still obviously a joke. But I think we've seen her do this a lot now where she'll kind of like joke about something. I know she kind of had an incident with the ring, and we look at this stuff and we're like, okay, this is almost too obvious, therefore it's not going to happen. So I think it's kind of more reassurance at the end of the day with just her comedic tune to it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she has such a great sense of humor. And I also think we've said it so many times. What makes Katie so refreshing is she's really relatable. And honestly, not only does she not take herself like too seriously, it feels like she takes the process. Like, we have watched these first 2 episodes. She is there. She is committed. She is all in on trying to find a husband. But I feel like she maintains that sense of like, this is a reality television show. This whole thing is a little weird, right? Like, she keeps that kind of lighthearted understanding of this is going to be a crazy journey we're all going on together. So anyways, could gush about Katie all day. I know we all love her. She's definitely, here's that ring moment. I mean, she's doing the most on social. She's hilarious. I hope we continue to see more and more of this side of her as more episodes, of course, continue to air. We do have to move on, though, to a darker topic regarding Katie's season, and that is all of these conspiracy theories about Greg. Now, Greg, obviously, you guys, was such an early frontrunner. I mean, first impression rose, first one-on-one. He charmed all of Bachelor Nation literally in this moment with the pasta necklace. And, you know, that's when, of course, he got that rose. It's been a pretty good journey for Greg so far. But the rumor mill is doing its thing. And I don't know, you guys, we're going to have to really unpack this timeline about the conspiracy theory regarding him going to acting school, because I know that there are a lot of things, but we're going to talk about that today. We previously actually here on Shared News have talked about these acting school rumors. The fact that he was an actor, you know, made a bunch of people in Bachelor Nation nervous, right? Nervous that maybe he was there for exposure, or some of these moments weren't as genuine because he's a trained actor, right? Like, I personally laughed because I didn't think there was anything to it at first, but they just keep coming. You know, we're getting more and more details. His job, just so we're all clear, the job in his ABC bio and also in like his LinkedIn, you guys, is that he's a marketing rep. But a source is telling The Sun, quote, he is absolutely lying about his career and intentions on the show. He's always wanted to pursue an on-camera career. Now, you can see him standing there in front of an acting studio, and The Sun was able to confirm that Greg did attend the prestigious William Esper Studio, which is in New York City acting school, from 2017 to 2019. This hasn't been mentioned on the show at all, and 2019, if you really think about it, wasn't that long ago. So I think this timeline and how recent it was is what's starting to maybe raise some more eyebrows, right? Like when we first learned that he went to acting school, I think a lot of people were like, when he was a teenager? Like, who cares, right? This source did have a lot to say, so I'm going to just give you guys like a quick overview of kind of all of the accusations, and then I want to know your thoughts. So, according to this source, he spoke a lot about fame through acting school, and apparently it seemed like he needed a lot of recognition to feel good about himself, which is definitely opposite to those kind of humble, shy vibes we were getting on the show. The source also says, quote, for some reason, he's trying to come off like he's in marketing, which is just not true, or if it is, it's an extremely recent development and not at all how he's portraying it. Now, it would be an extremely recent development because, again, keeping in mind that timeline, according to his LinkedIn, he's only had this marketing job for like 2 months before he would have had to leave it and come to join the Bachelorette. So again, it is an extremely recent development, but this source is sort of leaning into the shady side of it all. Continuing saying, Greg thought he could pull a fast one on the audience by just not acknowledging he's a trained actor and pretending to be some marketing guy. And this is kind of the kicker for a lot of people, the fact that he deleted, supposedly, a lot of this acting content off of his social media account and his LinkedIn. There are no signs of acting. He's supposedly told friends not to mention it if anyone asks about it, and he's untagged himself from all of his classmates' photos. So, again, I want to be very clear that this is all coming from a source, right? So we don't have, like, at least as far as I'm aware, you guys let us know if we're wrong in the chat, screenshots of like a previous Instagram feed with a ton of stuff that he then went and removed or deleted and untagged. It's kind of hearsay at this point. But with all of that info I just threw at you guys, and with your initial opinions about Greg, Gianna, what do you make of this? I mean, it feels to me a little bit like grasping at straws, but then I look at the evidence and I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I should be suspicious. Are you? How are you feeling?
I just feel a little heartbroken if this is true, because I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love Greg so much. If he doesn't marry Katie, I will marry him. But it's crazy because I've been seeing these theories on all over social media, especially on TikTok, and a lot more theories on top of it saying because he went to acting school, like he is just acting his way through the season just to get fame. And listen, I'm going to put myself in his shoes for a second. You know, not that I went to acting school for college, but I took acting classes for a long time. I took acting classes throughout college because I thought maybe that was going to be something I was going to pursue, and it's not. And now I do happen to be an on-camera person. If I went on The Bachelor as a contestant and then people kind of dug up my background and saw, oh, but she went to school for broadcasting, she took acting classes, all she wants to do is have this on-camera position. But if it just so happens that, yeah, although I'm on camera, but I'm on the show to find love, it's like an unfortunate correlation. And I think that's what's happening with Greg here. I really don't think that he's on the show necessarily to pursue his on-camera acting career, especially where usually the contestants and leads come off as more so influencers rather than, known actors. So I also think that because he was in marketing for a couple of months, acting is a hard career to land. The fact that he's right out of acting school, you know what? Not everyone lands on Broadway or in a movie or in a TV series right away. And he probably adopted maybe a little freelance job. And yeah, maybe he started it 2 months ago, but if he's a freelance worker, he's technically allowed to drop the job and take all the time that he needs off to be on Katie's season. So I don't know. I maybe it's me not wanting to believe these claims, but I am Team Greg and I will support him all the way. I do believe that he is the shy, humble guy that we're seeing. But Avery, do you agree with me? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a couple different ways to look at this. I feel like if you want to be a successful, well-respected actor, you don't go on reality TV. But there's a thin line between like wanting to be a successful actor and just wanting fame. And then going on a reality TV show would be that like shortcut to fame. But I'm going to have to separate the two here because he did go to like a prestigious acting school. He just didn't go to any school and like major in acting or take acting. He went to an acting school. Therefore, I think he's more serious about it. But I also think he strictly went on the show to find love. Then again, I do just already love him so much. It's hard to like talk bad. But like that's how I'm going to separate the two because I don't know. You kind of could tell between the people who are trying to climb that mountain of fame. And to me, their connection seems genuine. I don't know if he initially had that in mind and then ended up really falling for Katie. But the only other suspicious thing to me is the marketing job. But then again, you can't just graduate and be booked in everything as an actor. You kind of have to have another stable job. So that does make sense. But he only was there for 2 months. But I don't know. I believe him because at the end of the day, it seemed like he was pretty serious about acting. And a serious actor knows like that's probably not the best way to get your foot in the door. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, here's the thing that I find really interesting is like, at the end of the day, yes, he went to this prestigious acting school, but I'm pretty sure if we search him on IMDb, like, there's no movies he's made, right? I feel like that would be all over TikTok. If he even did a commercial, I think we all would have seen it by now, right? So it's like, yes, granted, he went to this prestigious program, but I don't know, maybe he didn't want to call himself an actor just yet because he knew that if that was his, position, that was his bio for The Bachelorette, people would maybe investigate his career and see that he hasn't done anything yet, which there's no shame in, right? I mean, it's a long journey to find success as an actor. So that's kind of my thing is even when I first found out, like, oh, okay, this acting school thing is more in the recent past as opposed to the distant past, that doesn't mean that he has like a super thriving career in that field yet. So he honestly maybe just said marketing because that's his day job right now. And it would, I guess it didn't work out, but in theory, maybe lessons, right? It could have just been a simple play in that sense. Who knows? Producers may have even advised him to not say he was an actor because look at the way it's being perceived. I mean, the other thing is, and I'm curious for your take on all of this, you guys, some of these source quotes, what's kind of rubbing me the wrong way is I'm going to go back to the quote here. Greg thought he could pull a fast one on the audience by just not acknowledging he's a trained actor and pretending to be a marketing guy. He's trying to come off like he's in marketing, which is just not true. And I'm like, I haven't seen him try to misrepresent his career at all on the show yet. They haven't even talked about it. I mean, what I'm so curious about, you guys, is like maybe the next time they're on a date or they have some sit down time, are we going to hear him talking to Katie about how like he has this crazy dream that one day he might be an actor, but right now he's working in marketing? Like we haven't seen him mislead her yet at all. So I'm just like kind of, I guess, apprehensive to kind of jump on this conspiracy wave because we've seen him be a great guy so far, and we're only 2 weeks in. Like, do you guys feel like he's misrepresented himself at all at this point based on what you've seen? Avery, what's your take?
No, because like you said, we haven't even seen him talk about his job. And I'm sure as time goes on, they might dabble into that a little more and we'll get more insight. But there's also a possibility that he may just not want to pursue acting anymore. And that's probably why we can't find any receipts. Maybe he changed his mind and really did want to go into marketing. And then he got this opportunity to be on The Bachelor. There's a lot of different possibilities here, but I just feel like people are out to get him and he may not have bad intent. But at the end of the day, like, he could have went to acting school and been like, never mind, I don't want to do this. But anything's possible. I hope we'll get more insight on this, though, as the show goes on, because I'd love to know the real answers.
Yeah, and I mean, as we're talking about this, something just kind of popped into my head. I mean, he graduated from the program, at least if what the information we have is true, is in 2019. We all know what happened in 2020. I mean, hello, let's face it. What auditions was he even going? Like, if he truly ended that program and was maybe going to try to start his career as an actor in New York City, like, maybe that didn't happen because there was a global pandemic, and so he got a job in marketing and then applied. Who knows what the journey looked like? I think it's so funny talking to you all about it because I think it's so clear that we really want him to be a good guy. We don't want this to be true. We might be eating these words as more info comes out in the next few weeks. Who knows? You guys, this panel may be a little biased on the Greg front right now. We want to know your thoughts. Do you think Greg is super sus? Are you buying into these conspiracies? Is the actor thing rubbing you the wrong way? Let us know in the chat because honestly, jury's still out. We don't have a concrete answer on Greg's intentions if he's there for the right reasons as of right now. Only time will tell. With that being said, also, it is that time, you guys. We want to try to get to as many of your questions, your comments, your concerns, your thoughts as possible before we wrap up our live today. So if you haven't yet, make sure you jump in the chat, send them our way. We love hearing from you guys. We want to, of course, try to answer as many questions as we can. And if you've already sent your question in, but you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, make sure you do. And also make sure you ring the bell because we are going to be covering all things Katie's season, all things Bachelor Nation in general, 24/7 here on Shared News, because I don't know if you guys picked up on it from this live, but we really do love The Bachelor and we love talking about it. So make sure you subscribe so you, of course, don't miss out on any of that upcoming content. Kicking us off here in the chat is Miriam. She says, hit that like button, everyone. Wow, she is finishing the spiel for me. Yes, if you haven't liked this live, please do. We would love the support. We hope you, of course, are enjoying it. If you're not, don't hit the dislike button because we don't want that. We just want the like button, if you don't mind. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Any questions, any comments? Let's see what is coming up next. You guys can also, by the way, send us a chat message about anything we talked about in the live today. And also anything else going on in Bachelor Nation. It doesn't have to be something we covered today. Hopefully there hasn't been any major breaking news as we've been live. We know that can happen sometimes. All right, we've got another one here. Avery, take us away.
Anna Lee said, I love Tyler Cameron, but on the other hand, I wonder if he ever really cared for her, and in my opinion, he shouldn't write about her. Now, I think it's, okay, that makes sense, but he's also asking for her consent before he writes about her, and I think he has to include some parts of their relationship in order to give his own advice and insight and tie it all in together. I don't think it's just going to be a story written only about her. She just played kind of a major part in his life at a point.
Yeah, I mean, we know Tyler Cameron, right, through Hannah Brown, so I think it would kind of be hard to leave that part out of his story. I mean, right? It would be tricky, for sure.
It would.
Especially if she gave him permission, then it's like, right away, Tyler, do whatever you want. But Jessica Moyes says, Michael Bolton saying, but the celebrity dating game show, Yes, I actually forgot that it was Michael Bolton. I said a random guy, but it is Michael Bolton. So sorry about that. That's on me. But that again, like I said, his song was my favorite part of the so creative. He sang so well. He had Hannah Brown and the audience absolutely cracking up. Like I said, when he mentioned the windmill situation, especially, and her getting heartbroken and all of this, he kind of just dished out all the tea right then and there, and it was hilarious. But I agree, Jessica. The celebrity dating game show is kind of trash. I do not like it. I don't think it should make a comeback. It's just like way too outdated. There's nothing really like new and exciting about it. We have The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, we have all of that. And I really don't think that we need another celebrity dating game show. Like, we have enough of that. Like, ABC has come out with so many more new fun shows. There's a golfing show. There's something that looks like American Ninja Warrior. I'm forgetting the name, but I just think we should focus on those and not more dating shows. So, Jessica, totally agree with you. Liked the song, don't like the show. And that's that.
What were your thoughts on Zoe Deschanel, Gianna?
I think she really did carry the show because she has that humor. It's like she's kind of sarcastic, but like also being funny without trying. So I mean, I liked her as the host, but it just seemed again kind of random to me. I was just like, what's happening here? We have Zoe, we have Hannah Brown, and then 3 random men. Like it was just kind of a cluster. I just didn't like it. I really didn't.
Oh my God. Sorry, Terrence, not look at your comment here, but I just, for some reason, Gianna, your take is just making me laugh so much. Okay. Terrence says, Garen from Tayshia season said he knew Carl and said he was a bad guy after Monday's episode. I believe it. Such a manipulator. Oh my goodness. I remember Garen and I totally trust his take here. I mean, wow, Carl definitely, I think he gave off vibes, honestly, even night 1. But at that point, it's like everybody gets a pretty clean slate. And not every guy is going to be like your total cup of tea. That doesn't mean they're a bad guy, right? Like, I found his energy to be a little intimidating that first night. But I thought, okay, great. He's loud, he's fun, he's out there. Maybe we're going to end up loving him. Boy, did it take a turn night 2. I feel like he is such a manipulator. That is the correct word. It was sketchy. It was intense. It was honestly kind of aggressive. It was very opportunistic. I mean, I could throw all of the negative adjectives at this because it was just not a good look. And to me, there's obviously we left it off with quite the cliffhanger. There's a little bit of room for him maybe to redeem himself, but the only way he does is if he unmasks like an evil demon villain who's there to swindle Katie and not there for the right reasons. If he can't provide that, then what he did is going to leave the ick, in my opinion. It's going to be super icky. I'm not here for it. I feel like you guys agree. Avery, he freaked you out last week or this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he just had bad intentions. It's not even like he was trying to, like, be helpful. He was just like, oh, everyone seems to be pretty much problematic here, so let me just stir the pot for literally no reason. And I feel like he saw Aaron kind of do the same thing, and then he kind of got the upper hand in the situation. So then I think he thought it might have worked for him. But the thing is, like, Aaron actually had an actual person to snitch on, whereas Carl like literally just made that up. So he just looks dumb at the end of the day. And it's even more ironic that he's a motivational speaker because I don't know, it's not looking good for business after this, that's for sure.
Yeah, Gianna, was it you who we talked about that the motivational speaker, for some reason, like, it is such a noble job, and I don't want to bash all the motivational speakers out there, but it made me nervous? Was it you who also was kind of like, I don't know?
Yes. I think yesterday you and me and Morgan were talking about how it's kind of sketchy that he's a motivational speaker. But I actually last night looked back on an old video we did here on Shared News when we reviewed all 30 contestants before Katie's season started. And the thing that sketched us out the most about Carl was that his favorite holiday is New Year's Day. Remember that? We were kind of going crazy because we were like, that's weird. weird. Like, he was the one we were kind of charmed because it was like he spoke French and English and he's a motivational speaker. And then they hit us with that fun fact of his favorite holiday is New Year's Day. And all I remember is I think me and you and Zac, we were like, no, that's weird. That's bad vibes right off the bat. And clearly we were right. I mean, this has nothing to do with New Year's Day, but we had a hunch very early on that he was just not going to be our cup of tea. And we were right.
That is hilarious. And now that we know him, I bet there is some deep, like, fresh beginning spin he puts on New Year's Day that if you gave him the space, he would, like, really try to pitch you on it. And that also gives me the heebie-jeebies. So, wow. Full circle. All right, Gianna, I'll let you take Miriam's comment here. We can move on from Carl.
All right. Avery, actually, did you answer the last question? I don't want to steal your question if you didn't answer it.
Oh, I'm
last.
sorry, you guys.
Yes.
That's okay. Okay, she
No, I
answered
think I
it.
did.
Just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
Great. But let's answer Miriam's question now. What she says, what's also suspicious is that he was originally casted for Claire's season, so Miriam's talking about Greg, and didn't make the final cut. Wouldn't that have been almost right after he got out of acting school? Miriam, I did also hear about this. I don't know about you guys, but I saw, of course, a TikTok video about this. And the other sketchy part was, I don't know if this is true, but the video had mentioned that while he was being cast for Claire's season, he actually was in a relationship. And he didn't tell, obviously, his girlfriend that he was going to be auditioning to be on The Bachelorette as a contestant. But again, I don't want to say that that's a fact. That is just what a source says on TikTok. So we don't know how accurate that would be. But yeah, it's the timing of it is also just a little weird. So who knows? Maybe he was being cast for Claire's season and he was going to leave acting school early, which is another testament to maybe he's not wanting to be an actor. Maybe he wasn't as passionate about it as we think, even though he did go to this prestigious school. But again, it's like we are just going off of what sources say. So it's so hard to make an assumption about him right now, especially since it's only the second episode and we just saw him, again, the timing, we just saw him dive so deep about his father passing away. And he connected with Katie on that because obviously her father passed away as well, unfortunately. So it's like, if we hear all of this after he went as far as to tell Katie that information, it's going to be heartbreaking. So that's why, again, I don't think that he's in this for the wrong reasons. I really do think that he has good intentions by being in this.
Yeah, I mean, Susan here is saying he seems genuine. I mean, I have to say, I really do agree. Thinking back to, like you just mentioned, Gianna, that conversation with Katie about his father, I mean, that felt really, really raw and vulnerable. And I do feel like, I don't know, there is this gut feeling in me that really just wants to not write him off because of, all of these random source things. At the end of the day, anyone can press record on a TikTok and say whatever they want. And, rumors and whatnot can be diluted. It's like a game of telephone, right? The originating fact here seems to be that he went to acting school. All of the rest of it, I don't know what lands on true or not true. Of course, we haven't heard anything from him. We're probably not going to. That's part of being a contestant on the show. You don't get to speak out about every little thing. And he probably doesn't even want to address some of this stuff because that adds fuel to the fire to a certain degree. What I keep coming back to is obviously, there are so many ways to end up on The Bachelor, and he may not have even applied. You can nominate someone, right? There is not a 0% chance that he wasn't in acting school and a friend thought, you know what? I think Greg would be great on The Bachelor. I'm going to nominate him. And sure, he could have left acting school and, like she pointed out, been willing to dive into Claire's season. We just don't know. And so I don't know. I don't want to write him off yet. I guess that, Susan, I agree with you. He seems genuine. I don't want to write him off yet. And I hope so seriously that we don't end up having to do that. Oh, I don't know. I just get nervous about this now, you guys.
It's scary. Natalie said, is it possible that Greg just wants to date Katie but not ready for marriage? Yes, this also is a possibility. But I mean, guys, the more we talk about it now, the more I'm maybe kind of starting to overthink this. But I need the exact timeline of when he was maybe going to be casted on Claire's season and when this marketing job ended. And because like we said, he only had it for 2 months, and Claire's season was like the end of last year, which means they had to have started casting like 6 months before then. So now this is making this even more confusing and makes me question his intent. Even if he didn't go on the show for the right reasons, I do believe that he is now falling for Katie. Maybe he didn't think that would happen, but I feel like the connection they have is genuine. I don't know what his motive for going on to begin with was. Even if it wasn't, though, you can't deny that there is a real connection between the two.
Yeah, that's an interesting take too. I mean, he could have gone on for only purely slimy reasons and maybe found this really solid connection. There are literally too many options here, you guys. Too many possibilities.
Way too many. But I just don't want to get my heart broken equally as Katie would get her heart broken if Greg seems to not be the person that he is. I'll be crying with my popcorn and my wine in my bed. But Bachelor Nation POP says, I think the tea that Carl is going to spill is against Thomas. We'll see Monday night. Thomas? I mean, Katie was just loving Thomas on this last episode. You know, she did give him a rose, right? I mean, she was like loving all of him. She even said like, I find myself, I can't stop thinking about you. And she was really saying things to him that she didn't say to any of the other guys. So if it was against Thomas, I would be absolutely baffled, especially because he's another one of my favorites right under Greg. Like, I really do like Thomas. Like, I don't see anything that he really did wrong yet, but I know that in the next coming trailers that we have seen, it said that Thomas did have thoughts of being the next Bachelor. So that's where the ill intention kind of falls, which obviously we didn't know until we saw the next preview. And if that's true, well, you know what, if that is true, which actually Thomas did say, you know, that was a thought that ran across my mind. Isn't that a thought that runs across all the contestants' minds? Like, if I fail here, maybe I'll be the next Bachelor / Bachelorette. Like, if I were a contestant, that would be a thought in my mind. That's an honest thought. I don't think his intention of going on the show was, okay, I'm just going to go on it and not end up with Katie, and then I will make it my goal to be the next Bachelor. But if that's something that comes out, I think that is definitely what Carl is going to be talking about then, to try to, you know, take him away and make him look bad for Katie. So this is already getting messy, and we're only going to be on night 3 this Monday. So what do you guys think? I'm curious.
No, it's crazy. I mean, here's the thing. I think that they all feel that way. You're so onto something. I mean, don't you agree, Avery?
No, yeah, but I feel like if that is a thought, you know, this isn't the space to verbally say it. Keep it as a thought. Keep riding the ride. See how your relationship with Katie grows. Because if someone is just saying that week 2, like, oh, I want to be the next Bachelor, I could be the next Bachelor, that is kind of a red flag, because it's kind of like, okay, this is week 2, you need to focus on the prize here. Why are you already thinking like that? But I feel like Carl may have just saw him as an easy target, and he's gonna maybe get away with all this because Thomas conveniently said that, and now Carl doesn't look like he's lying. So I don't know, it is already extremely messy.
I know. I mean, it's like we're going to have to start making like a flow chart or something to keep track of it all. What is really interesting as we like are unpacking all of this is we're literally on week 2 of her season. And the biggest like topic of suspicion, whether it's, you know, on the show or playing out in real time, is this being there for the right reasons thing. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of feel like at this point, nobody, like, you could be nominated completely out of the blue and plucked, you know, out of like never watching the show before for and I guess go on the show. That still could exist. It just feels like it is so obvious right now, all of the opportunities that this show can unlock. It's interesting to see how much a part of the conversation, this like intent and reasoning for being on the show is really playing a major role. It's very, very interesting. We could talk about this literally all day because clearly there are so many questions we have, so many mysteries, you know, to unravel here. But unfortunately, we are out of time, you guys. So those are all the questions and comments we could take right now, but have no fear. Like I mentioned, we're going to continue going live. We're going to continue covering all things Bachelor Nation. So if we didn't get to your question, just leave it for us down in the comments. We, of course, want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts on all of the things we covered today. And I know I said it, but I'm going to say it again. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do so we can keep you updated on Bachelor Nation 24/7. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the absolutely wonderful Avery Grooms and Gianna Gravelisi. If you want to come say hi, keep the conversation going, check out our socials. They are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live with us, and we will see you next time. Bye.